I know it seems doom and gloom right now, but we have to try to search for answers as fans. We can't give up. And I think Jalen Henderson could provide a real spark if used right.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? What is back? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby. Where we're talking about the Mountaineers again on the football side of things. And look, I've seen it. There's a lot of negativity going on right now. I think myself included sometimes, but our fan base is a little bit wishy-washy right now in year one scenario, but nobody has patience anymore. I'm not surprised. I struggle from it too, so I'm not preaching at you. Let's get to this title sponsor first, as this episode is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. Look, if you want to bet $5 and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the FanDuel app today to get started. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. So here's the slate. We're going to talk about Jalen Henderson. We're going to talk about Max Brown. We're going to talk about the offensive line, obviously. Really bad numbers coming out on the offensive line over the weekend and since the game happened, and really over the course of the first, couple games of the season that aren't encouraging, to say the least. So we're going to look at those. We're also going to touch on the injury report, as it looks like there are some real questions about not only Ty Edwards going forward, but Sincere Bowers, Landon Livingston. So there's not a whole lot of good to hold on to right now. There just isn't. All right, so I'm going to make a case for Jalen Henderson. So just hear me out on it. As you guys know, I said in the offseason I feel like he should be the starter. And it's come out since then that maybe passing not his strength. I never said it was his strength, but I also never said he was bad at it. But if you look at his 2025 season so far, he's got 4 completions. He's only thrown the ball 11 times for 28 yards. He's got 16 carries for 118 yards and a touchdown. 44 overall snaps. That's it. That's it. He's had no, you can't sit here and tell me that he's been given a real opportunity. He hasn't been given a real opportunity. That's not an opportunity. 44 snaps is not an opportunity. That's garbage work. That's backup status to the umpteenth degree. And how are we ever going to know what we really have into, from what I understand, the guy we're paying the most, by the way, even more than Nico, how are we ever going to know what we have in him if we don't just give him the reins like we have Nico for a couple games? I get, we needed to see what we had in Nico, and I was impressed with what he did in the backyard brawl. I've said openly, I'm a fan just like you guys are. I don't come on here and complain and pretend to be a football savant. I have emotions too. And the second half of that Pitt game did lull me to sleep. And I think it lulled people in the building to sleep too a little bit, because I was told all week, hey, he looks great. He's practicing at an elite level. Well, that's because nobody was hitting him, right? So forgive me for wanting to be optimistic. It's like you get crucified no matter which way you go on stuff. But either way, I was trying to be optimistic, and it wasn't like the offensive line thing was wrong from the week before when I did a video on the offensive line being much better. It was much better against Pitt. So, I'm sorry I'm 1 for 1 on those. But anyways, back to Nico Marchiol. Obviously, he was flinching. He was definitely getting hit so much. And our offensive line was getting beat by 4 guys. They were dropping 7 into coverage. That's never a good thing. You're never going to be able to win like that. And I don't care who you are. Not even Tom Brady was able to do that most of the time. Now, we're going to have to get tricky with the Jalen Henderson run game, obviously. It's not going to be it's not going to be as easy as how it was with Pat White, where we can hand it off, pull it, It's not going to be that easy, right? But you saw in the game the other day, Jaylen can make something out of nothing, even when there's no blockers there. That's the point. If your quarterback is mobile enough, you can make things happen, even if there's no blocking. And if we can just extend drives, eventually your offensive line will get some push because people will get tired. That's how it works. So that's what we need to try to figure out is how can we extend drives even just a little bit more? This defense is good enough to keep us in games. We just have to figure it out. It's not going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty. It's not the ideal situation. We're going to have to pray and hope that we can become bowl eligible so we have some kind of momentum going into next year. But obviously the ship has sailed on us being Big 12 contenders, unless some backups are just come in and play lights out, right? Because I do think we have, at some spots, good enough players to win it. I think our corners are really good. It was just crazy. We've got good safeties. Our linebackers are serviceable. Our defensive line plays well at times. We've got a couple wide receivers that I really like. We've got a tight end that can be good. It's just there's nobody throwing the ball. And obviously Ty Edwards has proven to be a really good back if given the chance. But unfortunately, he's hurt. So what I thought I would do is the biggest critique on Jalen Henderson is that he can't throw the ball, right? That's what we hear. That's what we're told. I want to kind of dispel that a little bit. I want to go back and look at his highlights again because I think we've all forgotten. Let's see how Jimbo was using him. Because from my vantage point, I don't think he's that bad of a thrower of the football. I think maybe it's play design, maybe it's the style of the offense or what have you. Maybe it's just not enough reps in this offense yet. But I want you to legitimately watch him throw the ball when he was at Texas A&M and tell me that he can't throw it good enough to be good in this offense. I don't believe it. So on this first play, this is a running play, obviously, and he cuts it upfield and scores a touchdown against Mississippi State. Beautiful play. But I mean, here, look at this play. Right down the seam, bam, perfect ball. You can't ask for more than that. Here he gives again on a 3-step drop, out pattern, bam, perfect ball. Right? Here he is on a rollout to his left. Bam, perfect ball, wide open. The guy was wide open. Here he is on the read option. He can really chew up dirt when he wants to. Obviously, as a runner, we know that. This isn't to try to prove you whether or not he can run or not. This is can he throw it? And look at this throw here. The receiver's right here. Watch him throw right into the window. That's a beautiful throw, guys, right? There's velocity on it. Against an SEC team. In front of a safety behind a corner. Look at this throw. Beautiful throw downfield. So obviously we don't have a lot of the same players, but I mean, and some of this is really good play design, no doubt. But I don't know why we don't just give him the reins for a game and try to let him get comfortable because he can do stuff like this. You can't teach that right there. That play's dead. Nico Marchiol is sacked for a 15-yard loss right here, right? Nico Marchiol gets sacked right here. He's down for 10-yard loss. Jalen Henderson against an SEC team outruns everybody to the end zone. So, my thing is, and here's against LSU. Look at that, right in the middle. You can't tell me he can't throw the ball, guys. He hasn't thrown it well for us yet. I'll give you that. But look at this play. This is 3rd and 10. Here's the slot player. Watch him run to the sticks and watch him drop it right in between everybody in the zone. I mean, this is not an easy throw. There's a linebacker right here. He's got a good pocket, though. But, I mean, my point is Jalen Henderson can throw the ball. Don't let people tell you he can't throw it. He can't. He's not John Elway. Not saying that. There's a guy in his face. Look at this. Look at that ball with somebody in his face. He's just not comfortable in this offense yet. That's all. So, to me, I don't know why this trigger hasn't been pulled yet. I don't know why this trigger hasn't been pulled yet because worst case scenario, he can get out of trouble if the line's screwing around like Jalen Daniels did, and you'll get a first down you'd never otherwise get with Nico, unfortunately. I'm not. I listen. I wanted Nico to succeed so bad. We don't have the offensive line to keep him clean to throw the ball. That's the end of it. There's no other discussion at this point. It's not really Nico's fault as much, and there's no way we can revamp it right now because it's in the middle of the season. I mean, the point here's the thing. Individually, these guys maybe they're good enough to play at an average level to P4 level, but putting 5 guys on the same offensive line together in new systems is just asking for trouble. If you listen inside the gun today, a lot of their issues is not only are we going fast, but it's okay, you got this guy, I got that guy, right? Or they do. You've seen how many miscommunications the offensive line has had. I've seen at least 5 or 6 run throughs this year because they stunted, and the right side of our offensive line has just totally whiffed. It's unfortunate Xavier Bosley got hurt because I think he could be an answer, at least a stopgap that could help. And it's unfortunate that we somehow don't have a better guard than Makaniole to play right now. If you look at, we'll get there in the next segment. Let's just go to break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this, obviously, but don't let anybody tell you that Jalen Henderson can't throw the ball. We're watching it right here in real time. And for those of you listening, if you want to look up Jalen Henderson, Jaylen Henderson, on his X page, you'll see for yourself that he can throw it. Here he is running on the run. I mean, he makes play. He's a playmaker. Here he is throwing a fade route, perfectly thrown to the end zone. So, here he is once again throwing a deep one, back shoulder. So Jalen Henderson can throw it. It's not always beautiful, I would say, but certainly capable of doing it, and which is why West Virginia went out and got him, because he's got some ability. I don't want people to sit here and trash this kid like he can't throw it. It's not his fault. He just hasn't been given the opportunity, and I don't know why. I would imagine it's probably comfortability factor in the offense. It's probably my best guess. We'll go to break and come back, guys. We're going to look at Max Brown next because I just want to ask a question as we look at some of his film. Why hasn't he been put in? Because if you look at his Florida footage, he makes incredible throw after incredible throw, but there has to be something else going on we don't know about, obviously. We'll talk about that too. And we're going to look at the offensive line grades, which are just the worst I've ever seen, honestly, guys. Like, just to be totally, completely honest, the worst offensive line grades I've ever seen. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by the Game Cap. And when the Game Cap, it's all about hats with them. And we got a quick question for you college football fans out there. If you go back in time and sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. For me, it's always going to be the Backyard Brawl because these aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles worn back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then when you use code Locked On to get your vintage hat for $16.99. Head to thegamecaps.com. That's thegamecaps.com to grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code Locked On for an exclusive discount because legends, they wear the game. In segment 2, we crack open a dew. We worship the dew. All right, guys. So, obviously Max Brown, we're going to talk about him. But first, before we do that, I'm going to pivot and go to the offensive line stuff. Obviously it's been really bad, but how bad is it? Well, if you look at versus Leroy Harris, he wasn't able to get much pressure over Nick Cray. Nick Cray really had a great pass blocking day, 83.1. Unfortunately, run blocking, that's a totally different story. Now, if you look at Kimo Makaniole in the pass protection, 19.8 pass protection mark. It can't get worse than that. Tykees Crawford was 38.6 and 26.0 in the run game. If you look at Grayson Barnes, it was really bad. Walter Youngbear was just below average in the 50s. It's to the point where when you look at the ranking of and this comes from Josh Wolfe. He posted this, I think, yesterday. So these are the numbers with 100 snaps minimum, run and pass blocking. Kimo Makaniole is 300th ranked out of 302 guards in the entire country. And pass protection, 287 out of 302. By the way, Walter Youngbear, he's like 180 something. It's not good. He's not good either. Landon Livingston, also not. We don't have a single guy in the top 100 on the offensive line. It's that bad. It's that bad. It's the worst offensive line in West Virginia football history. That includes the 2019 one, whenever we were rebuilding with freshmen, like we had Zach Frazier, obviously, and those guys, like that was a rebuilding offensive line that was pretty bad at times, but they got pushed at times, No, last year our numbers were much better at times. I mean, listen, for Pro Football Focus isn't the be all end all. I tell you guys this all the time, but it does grade. It gives you an idea of whether somebody played bad or good. Like it can tell you that much for the most part. It doesn't tell you everything. It can't grade effort. It can't grade, what the guy next to somebody did. Like there's a bunch of different things, but overall, like it tells a pretty large portion of the story. And I would say last year the offensive line probably graded into the 60s and 70s for the most part. Well, good enough to get push at times. When you're grading in the 50s, you're losing, 50s and 40s, and that you're losing almost every battle. And I would say it's probably 70% communication, and probably, I would say 60% communication and 40%. This is the part that sucks, guys, because you can fix technique for the most part, but you can't fix your guy's just stronger than mine, right? Like on some levels, sometimes football just comes down to we got better players. And when you don't have average Power 4 starters, that means that every team you go up against in the Big 12 on the defensive line, which does have average to really good players, are going to beat you 7 out of 10 times. The only reason we got pushed against Pitt was because they were on the field for 90 snaps. That's why we didn't see anything until the fourth quarter and overtime, because they were gassed. That's the only reason. And Ty Edwards broke a lot of tackles that flat out nobody else has been able to do so far this year. That's why he's so important. If we get Ty Edwards back, then even he can make this offensive line look decent at times, because he just breaks tackles through the line of scrimmage. He doesn't need a hole to run through. He can make one. That's why he's so important. Jacklich was doing that a little bit, but he's not athletic enough to really break away. Okay, Max Brown. I wanted to show you guys some Max Brown stuff. Obviously, I know I've shown you guys this stuff before. I know I have. So forgive me if you're seeing it for your, again. But I'm going to go to some of his practice footage. Okay, so this is against Florida State. We've shown this play multiple times. I don't know why Max Brown isn't playing. He started several games when he was at Florida, and he started games at Charlotte. Obviously, his decision-making has been off in the past. But from an arm talent perspective, which just means simply even if he can't read a defense, he can sling the thing a country mile, right? It's like Jamarcus Russell. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks in college football history. Really, he is. But, he could throw it 80 yards on his knees, but he couldn't read NFL defenses and never really tried. For Max Brown, I'm not going to say he's not trying because I don't know. I don't know if he can read defenses. I don't know. I don't know what his decision-making looks like. But I know what his arm looks like. And to me, he's the best passer on the team. When you watch him throw the ball, it is absolutely spectacularly gorgeous. This play here is an example. Obviously, the little flick, just a gorgeous pass in the back of the end zone. We're only going to watch a couple of these. Here's on the read option. And here's another thing Max Brown does that Nico can't do, guys. Nico can't do this right now. This is a safety bearing down on him. Watch the juke move. Boom. Max Brown can really run and he can really throw. I don't know why he's not playing. It bothers me. I wish he was. I wish we'd at least see him, but there has to be a reason. This throw here is one of my biggest proponents of, like, if you want to see how big of an arm this guy has, this is it. This guy is probably 50% better passer than what Henderson was or something. Like he's a better passer than Nico. He's a better passer than Henderson. Scotty Fox can probably get to this level. He's not quite here yet because he's a freshman, but this dude can really sling it around. Like I've said multiple times, though, that means nothing if you can't read defenses or you're not comfortable in the offense. I'm guessing that's what it has to be, because otherwise he can do this. It's just impressive, man, which is him slinging it from the right hash all the way over 50 yards in the air. And this is against Florida's defense. And here he is running the ball. Clearly he can run fast enough. So what are the reasons? Here he is running a read option against Florida State and getting 20 yards. So he can run, he can throw. Why hasn't he been inserted? I don't know. I mean, it's just a nasty throw there, obviously. This off platform, he's got a guy wrapped around his leg. And he's throwing it moving backwards. And look at the accuracy on this ball. No way Nico could do that, guys. I'm just being honest here, right? But Nico's been hit so much. And here he is again. Obviously, the DN crashes down. But, we haven't seen this play at all from Nico, right? Except maybe once, where he pulls it and then is capable of maybe juking a guy or getting down the field deep. Obviously, and here's just a straight up deep throw. Gorgeous. So I don't know. I can't explain, and it bothers me. I don't know why Max Brown hasn't been inserted to at least attempt to be able to play. I don't have the answer for that, and I wish I did, y'all. Because it's something that it's just something that sucks. I disagree with you, Scott, in the comments. To an extent, you're right. Like 99% of the way, you're right. But here's the thing. An elusive quarterback can make up for a bad offensive line at times. It can outrun pursuit. It can outrun coverage, right? It can outrun your offensive lineman getting beat up. Like a guy like Jalen Henderson can outrun a free runner. Just like we had free shots at the Ohio University quarterback over and over again. But what did he do? He made a guy miss, and he got a first down. My point is, Nico can never do that, unfortunately. I wish he could. We have quarterbacks in the roster that can do that. And so we're never going to be able to sustain a drive with the offensive line the way it is unless we put in a quarterback that can make a guy miss. And we just have to hope that we have a quarterback has a game where he keeps making plays with his legs, and that's the only thing we can do. Unless Ty Edwards comes back and runs through the hole again. Maybe he does that. I don't know. We're going to break one more time, come back and put a bow on this one, guys. Thanks for sticking around here on Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. And with FanDuel, it's pretty simple. Right now, FanDuel is doing a big deal, making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. $5 will get you $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get you started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And, of course, our friends over at Square College have come a knocking. And why shouldn't they? They do big things over there, I mean, all the time. It's one of the coolest places that you could even know. 4 million people are involved with them. And there are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's a local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's staying in your community for decades and decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Those local spots are what make the neighborhood feel like home, and so many more, and all of them usually run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. So go to square.com/lockedoncollege to learn more. Before you do, go to your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Do it today at Square. CB in the neighborhood. All right, guys, I've got a huge storm going on outside here, and unfortunately, gosh, I can't even think straight here. My internet's really slow. So, yeah, so obviously, no, the answer to fix the O-line is you can fix it next year. Somebody in the question said, somebody in the comments said, so the answer to fix the O-line is to get a quarterback that can run the ball instead of throwing it. I wouldn't say that. I mean, there is no answer to the offensive line. It's not on the team. That's the point. Like, the guys that are there can improve. Sure, they can improve. Could there possibly be a guy that hasn't played yet that could help us, like Xavier Bosley, who's a freshman All-American in Rich Rod's system but has been hurt? Yes, maybe he could help improve the line. But we got the guys on the team that we have on the team. So here's the thing. If that's the case and the offensive line isn't going to get much better, you insert a quarterback that can make guys miss, because what other choice do you have? You can't just put a stationary guy back there with an offensive line like this. It's just not going to work. So you got a couple options. You can do that where you can put a mobile quarterback back there, or you keep Nico in there and you restart over with a brand new. You keep Cray. You put Robbie Martin at center. You put Bosley at right tackle when he gets healthy. And then next year, when the time comes, you've only got to put 2 guys in. Maybe Livingston works out at center. I don't know. But, when come next year, you've only got to get 1 or 2, maybe 3 guys instead of 5 on your offensive line next year. But at the end of the day, it's just not on the roster. And I hate that. I do. I really hate it. Sure, a mobile quarterback will take a lot of hits. I agree with you. But it's better than what we have right now, which is no chance, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with it, y'all. I appreciate you for being here with me. I'm going to jump off here before the internet goes out. This says the connection's pretty unstable. So we're going to jump off of here and just pray that the electric doesn't go out too. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. Don't forget, guys, we're doing a pretty cool thing right now at Locked On, and it has to do with Fire TV College Football Kickoff. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson and former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts, a college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Good night.